What's going on, guys? It's Jeff for Mad Hatter's Reef, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 invertebrates for your reef tank. What's going on, guys? We're back with another video, and today we're talking about invertebrates for your reef tank, and we're going to be doing a little top 10 list. If this is your first time being here, this is where I talk about everything reef tank related. So if you love reef tanks like I do, gently press that subscribe button in the face. And before we jump into today's video, I want to thank Travis over at Fish of Hex becoming one of my newest patrons. Thank you, Travis. You're awesome and I appreciate you. And I thank you for supporting the Mad Hatter's Reef project. Tonight we're going to be doing a raffle over at Patreon for something pretty awesome. And if you want to join, go over to Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Sign up, set your level of support, and you'll be entered into the monthly raffle.
Alright guys, so let's jump into it. I am a little under the weather, so I apologize for my voice. I am down with a sickness, but we're going to make a video today anyways. Just make sure you wash your hands after this video. I don't want anybody getting sick out there because of me. Alright, so we are at saltwaterfish.com and we're going to be looking at the top 10 invertebrates for your reef tank. Coming in at number 10. Number 10 is the scarlet hermit crab. This is possibly the prettiest hermit crab that is available to hobbyists. It also is one of the most expensive hermit crabs. They're not one of the most resilient hermit crabs on this list, but they are definitely one of the prettiest. And I would recommend that you probably put this in a nano reef tank as opposed to a larger tank and keep them within their own kind. I wouldn't mix them with blue-legged or red-legged hermit crabs. They're going to do a lot better if they're just scarlet hermit crabs in the tank. And the reason I say a smaller aquarium as opposed to a bigger aquarium, it's a pretty expensive hermit crab, so it's going to be one that you're going to want to put in the tank that you're actually going to see fairly often. If you put it in a big tank, you might never see it again. And they aren't the most resilient of the hermit crabs, so put them in a small tank with their own kind so they have a better success rate. My first experience with a scarlet hermit crab, I acclimated it in the same container as an emerald crab, and within about 2 seconds that emerald crab had that scarlet ripped out of the shell and killed it. And he did that not only to that one, but the other one I bought. So I had about $10 worth of hermit crab killed in about 2 seconds. That story can also serve as a public service announcement on acclimating invertebrates in separate containers. Coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 9 is the orange sponge. And I'm not just going to limit this to orange sponges, but all sponges. And the great thing about sponges is that they are absolutely awesome at removing silicates from your water. And something else that uses silicates when a reef aquarium is first establishing is red slime. So if you can get a sponge in your tank and establish it prior to any type of red slime or diatoms forming, the sponge will actually absorb the silicates out of the water and won't allow red slime or diatoms to overrun your aquarium. A healthy sponge also will kind of molt a layer of cells off from itself, which can also serve as food for your corals and just help establish a very healthy aquarium. It's really important to know that when you're adding a sponge to your aquarium that you're not exposing it to the air, because the air can actually kill the sponge. And I have a video on showing people how to add sponges to their aquarium, and I'll put that in the description below if you want to check that out. Coming in at number 8. Number 8 is the HARLEQUIN shrimp. Now this is an absolute beautiful invertebrate that you can add to your reef aquarium. The important thing to note about the shrimp is its food source, and that is starfish. Now, if you have a starfish that you have in your aquarium that you put there, this is obviously a shrimp that you want to stay away from. But if you have a pest starfish, then this is definitely an invertebrate that you may want to consider adding to your tank. So in the grand scheme of things, if you are interested in keeping a HARLEQUIN shrimp, obviously you're going to be dealing with killing starfish. That may be okay with some people, might not be okay for others, but it is definitely a requirement to keep this guy alive and well. A lot of hobbyists that keep HARLEQUIN shrimp usually keep a starfish in the sump, cut off a leg, throw it in the display tank, and that usually will hold them over for a while. Some clubs usually have HARLEQUIN shrimps that they pass around to tank in the event that somebody has a pest starfish to keep it under control. Coming in at number 7. Number 7 is the blue-legged hermit crab. Now this is my favorite hermit crab out of the bunch, and the reason being is it has a unique coloration, especially when they get a little bit bigger. They definitely have those pronounced blue legs, with the black and white and orange crushers. They're also my personal favorite because you get the most bang for your buck. A lot of times with red-legged hermit crabs, you get one that kind of becomes the alpha, and he'll go around and just take everybody out. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen with the blue-legged hermit crabs, but it takes a lot longer for one of these guys to grow up big. And in comparison to red-legged hermit crabs, they typically will do about the same amount of work. So if you're going to pay less, they look a little better, and they don't kill each other as often. To me, that is a win-win. Coming in at number 6. Number 6 is the lettuce nudibranch. These guys are absolutely awesome, and they destroy algae. A few months ago, my mom called me up and asked me, she's like, I think I have something really bad in my tank. She ended up putting it into a sandwich bag and bringing it over to my house. And we jumped on Me Loves Reef website and used his Critter ID section and figured out that it was a lettuce nudibranch. And the only thing that was different, it was a blue one, which was really stunning. So in the grand scheme of things, she got herself a good hitchhiker. Not always the case, but sometimes you luck out. And they are a great addition to a reef tank. They consume a lot of that bad green stuff and help keep your aquarium clean and in check. Coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 5 is the cleaner shrimp. Now, this invertebrate is probably one of the most ingrained invertebrates in the saltwater aquarium hobby. I would say that it is probably the clownfish of the invertebrate world. That's right, folks. You heard it here first. Mad Hatter's Reef calls the cleaner shrimp the clownfish of the invertebrate world. I think I've had too much cough medicine. But anyways, the cleaner shrimp is a great addition to any reef tank, and they are a great shrimp. They have a lot of personality, and one of the things that I love about them the most is that they also serve a purpose. Anytime that you can get something in a reef tank that looks good and serves a purpose, you got a double-edged sword. And the purpose that it serves is that it cleans fish. Cleaner shrimp have been known to help fish that are battling ick. It's not a cure-all, but they have been able to help fish kind of withstand and not succumb to ick as fast. Coming in at number 4. Number 4 is the emerald crab, and these guys are a great addition to a reef tank, and one of the main purposes that people will add them to a tank is to battle bubble algae. They don't only consume bubble algae, they'll also go after other types, and I see mine picking at the rocks all the time. They can be a little disruptive at times, sometimes knocking over corals and climbing on top of them, but for the most part they are reef safe, and they do a pretty decent job of removing algae from the tank. Coming in at number 3. Number 3 is my personal favorite, and that is the turbo snail. And I add these to all my aquariums, and they are my go-to snail. I will throw a couple different other types of snails into the tank, but most often if I'm buying snails, it is the turbo snail. And there's one specific reason why I will buy this snail, and it's because it can turn itself over. Sometimes in a reef tank, snails fall off the glass and they land on the bottom. There's quite a few types actually out there that cannot flip themselves back over or have a hard time flipping themselves back over. The turbo snail is very quick to throw itself back onto its foot and be able to get out of there. The reason why this is so important because there's a lot of hermit crabs that are very opportunistic feeders, and if there's a snail on its back, it's probably going to run over there, get itself a quick meal, and find itself a new home. They also do a great job of cleaning algae off the rocks, glass, and other surfaces within the aquarium. Coming in at number 2. Number 2 is something that I have never kept, and it's going to change very soon. Clams are a great addition to any reef tank, and they are an absolute beautiful invertebrate. The MAXIMA clams are probably the most beautiful clams that are available for hobbyists today. It's recommended if you're going to try to keep clams that you keep your water parameters as close to natural seawater as possible. So this isn't a great choice for somebody who keeps elevated alkalinity and calcium levels to increase coral growth. You definitely want to make sure that you have it as close to natural sea levels as possible. Even though that a clam is considered a filter feeder, they get primarily most of their energy through lighting. So it's very important to make sure that you have
highlighting if you're going to try to keep clams, something like a metal halide or LEDs. It is possible to keep them under T5s, but it's not a long-term solution, so you definitely want to make sure that you have the right lighting if you're going to try to keep clams. Coming in at number one. Number one is the Sally Lightfoot crab. And if you've never kept a Sally Lightfoot crab, you probably don't understand why this guy would be number one. So take my word for it. They are probably one of the coolest invertebrates that you could ever add to a reef tank. They do a really good job about removing algae from a reef tank, and they are very active in the aquarium. They do get pretty big, but they don't really knock anything over because they're so light on their feet. And I have a pair of them in my 220 gallon, and they are probably the coolest crab that I've ever had in a reef tank. If you don't have a Sally Lightfoot crab, check them out. They are very cool and a great addition to any reef tank.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank you for joining me, and I will see you again next week right here with a brand new video.